Hello and welcome to Small Business 21st Century and today's segment of Build Your Difference. I'm your host, Pierre Walters, and we have a wonderful show for you today. Our guest is a native of Cascade, Virginia. She's a graduate of Virginia Tech with degrees in biology, human nutrition, food, and exercise science. She has excelled in the fitness industry for over 20 years in the Washington, D.C. and metro areas. And now has she authored a book based on her many experiences. This is a real page turner, and I'm so excited to be sharing with you today. 101 Ways to Successfully Age Gracefully. Please welcome the new author, Tonya Walton. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
It is a real pleasure to have you here, and I am so excited about your book, 101 Ways to Successfully Age Gracefully. Where did this idea come from? Where was the inspiration for this book?
Well, the inspiration came from my grandmother, but most of it came from like seniors that I taught over time. My grandmother passed when I was 21 years old. And so when you're young, you don't think to ask them questions, how they live their life, how to age gracefully, because she lived to be 94. And so as I grew older and through teaching, I had some really good, interesting seniors in my class, and they aged gracefully. And so I wanted to know more about them, so I would just ask them questions, and I document it over time. How'd you age gracefully? What were you doing to live a full life?
Wow, and how much time did it take for you to document all of this? Like, is this just how many years of wisdom did you accumulate?
This has been like it's over 8 years of documenting.
Wow. Of consciously documenting. When you were documenting, did you know that you were going to be putting it into a book?
I didn't know, but I've been journaling since I was like 6th grade.
Okay.
So I think that it would have been, I think, yes, eventually I wanted to write a book about it.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So you knew a book was on the horizon.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Why is American society in search of the fountain of youth?
That's a great question. I think people, as you grow older, you want to feel young. And so you always want to have that mindset. When you're young, you're vibrant, you can travel, you can go places, you can do things with your family. And so I think always wanted to have that mindset of that fountain of youth. What can keep me younger? Our society is.
Yeah.
It's pretty much.
And what are some of the ways that people can achieve this fountain of youth?
One of the ways definitely is exercise.
Okay.
Exercising, eating properly, nutrition, and having a positive mindset.
Now, you've worked as a fitness trainer for years, and you've met a lot of people, I'm sure. You've probably had so many clients, and I'm curious, what have you found are the major areas of aging gracefully based off what you've observed? And what have you found are the major areas that you've actually highlighted in your book?
Some of the major areas is physical and mobility. The thing of having a positive mental attitude, having mental clarity, and being around, having a good relationships and social relationships with people. That really contributed to having a graceful, successful life.
And what I like about how you've kind of branded this is by using the word graceful, having a graceful life, aging gracefully. And sometimes, my experience is, and a lot of people are afraid to age, or simply are trying to do whatever they can to reverse it altogether. But it seems like what you're saying is, well, we're going to age.
Exactly.
That is a matter of physics.
Right. A matter of life, yes.
Yeah. So really, it's not about reversing it, but rather moving forward gracefully.
Right.
And with pride and confidence. And what are the top maybe 3 or 4 tenets that you bring with you to every client or even through this book for aging gracefully?
one of the main things is being consistent. Being consistent and creating a habit of physical mobility, working on eating fruits and vegetables, and having a positive mindset. Think nice thoughts. Thinking nice thoughts.
So why do you suppose that is? Is there a correlation between what you're thinking and the quality of your life, or what's happening in your head and whether or not you're aging gracefully? Is there a correlation there?
I think so. If you feel good, you do better.
Oh.
If you exercise, it makes you feel good. It increases your energy, your mood, and so you tend to relate better. It's a stress reliever.
You know, something that I really liked about the book, when I was looking through it, I thought it was so interesting how every page had a nugget, a really powerful piece of wisdom that you could sort of take and, as a reader, reflect on. And then the other page had a journal where you could write out your thoughts. What was your inspiration for sort of presenting it in that way?
I want to present it like if you want to interview like your grandmother or your child. It was a way for them to give their thoughts for them so they can figure out how did they feel. And then it's like a legacy or something that they can go back and look on down the road. Say, ooh, this is what my grandmother thought. This is how she aged gracefully, or this is what she thought about, you know, how to think nice thoughts, or what makes you smile.
I really appreciate the way that you structured it, because I'm someone who I don't journal. And a lot of it is because sometimes it can be challenging for me to sort of be aware of the thoughts as they're happening, and then have the presence of mind to then document those thoughts.
Right.
But what I liked about the way that you structured your book was the nuggets that you provided are so insightful. They're so powerful that it really inspires me to immediately start reflecting on that. And when I'm in that space, I've already got the journal pages ready for me. So I'm not needing to remember what I was thinking. I can just reflect and immediately just start jotting down, you know, if I'm just doing this as sort of a solo exercise, or like you said, if I were with someone else and maybe asking them these questions and wanting to hear their feedback, I would have something immediately to write down. And so that I could reflect on later. I really appreciate the way that you structured it. I thought that it was just, I think I was telling you before we actually started the show, that the title of the book is 101 Ways to Successfully Age Gracefully.
Yes.
But let me tell you, that book is way more than 101 pages. That book was easily more than double. And I think that was very generous of you to ensure that each nugget, each of the 101 ways to successfully age gracefully was accompanied by a journal page where you can reflect and document that. I just really thought that was just such a nice touch. Does physical fitness work with or overlap mental fitness?
It's a combination of both. It definitely does. Physical activity, based on research, actually improves your mental alertness. It helps with depression, anxiety. So it's definitely related, physical activity and mental fitness.
And have you experienced any of this sort of directly in your own life? Or is this what you are sort of documenting based off your observations of others?
Documentation of others, but definitely for myself. You know, sometimes we go through stressful events and things happen, but when you exercise, those endorphins or whatever, it helps relieve that anxiety and that extra stress.
That explains why I love riding my bike.
Oh, okay.
I love riding my bike. My bike is my weekly I'm done thinking about all the things. I'm gonna just go ride my bike. So I absolutely love that. And so it's like you said, it's developing habits. For me, that would be a routine. That would be a habit that I try to stick to. I'm not always the best at it. Sometimes I don't stick to it, but I know that that's my kind of go-to. So I'm curious, in terms of the individuals that you had in mind when you were writing your book, who is the intended audience for 100 Ways to Successfully Age Gracefully?
My intention was probably maybe middle adults, 45-year-olds, how they can take a look and say, okay, if I want to live to be 80 or 90, because we're in an era where people are living longer, maybe these would be some nuggets. But also, when I thought about it, actually for everybody. A 6-year-old can read the book, over 100 can read it. So it's something that can, each age difference, or I say like your 40s or 50 as your age, it means something different to each decade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, yeah. I know that when I was in my teenage years, aging had a different meaning than it did in my 20s or even in my 30s. And as I prepare now in my 40s, I'm definitely aware that, okay, aging means something different now.
Yes.
Okay, so this is a good question I want to ask you. Can nutritional changes make an impact in how you age?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Well, you are what you eat. We hear that all the time.
No, don't say that.
But if you think about it, it does make sense. Eating, I grew up all the time. My grandma would say, always eat something green. I'm like, why is she saying that all the time? But it makes sense now. You want to eat fruits and vegetables that are man-made, that's natural. So eating too much sugar will age you faster. Not eating proper nutrients and vitamins, your body doesn't process it, you hold on to it. And so we have an obesity crisis in America now from what we're eating. We eat fast food. We don't take the time to actually eat real food and cook food.
I think what's interesting about how you worded that, you said eating sugar will age you faster. That's interesting to me because you didn't word it by saying eating sugar is unhealthy or eating sugar is bad for you. You said will age you faster. And that, to me, that's a paradigm shift. Mm-hmm. That's a whole new way of looking at health. I'm kind of used to hearing the rhetoric of this is healthy or this is not healthy, but I very rarely think about what will age me faster. Mm-hmm. And if I think about things from that perspective, let me tell you, I might make some different decisions.
Yeah, you might not have chocolate cake every night.
Yeah. Okay, so listen, we have got to take a short break, but I'm really enjoying this conversation, and I know that you are too. So I want you to stay with us because when we come back, we're going to have much, much more with Tonya Walton.
Losing weight's a lot harder than gaining it, but with every step, I lower my risk for type 2 diabetes and heart disease, and that makes every step very much worth the effort.
Learn how you can help stop diabetes. Visit checkupamerica.org or call 1-800-DIABETES.
And welcome back. You are watching Small Business 21st Century and today's segment of Build Your Difference with my special guest, Tonya Walton, author of 101 Ways to Successfully Age Gracefully. And prior to the break, we were just discussing the paradigm shift of aging gracefully, as opposed to thinking about sort of health as this is healthy and this is unhealthy. Really learning to think about health from the perspective of learning to think about health from the perspective of, will these choices age me faster or not? That is a game changer for me. So Tonya, I want to start by asking you, why 101? How did you settle on 101?
Well, it's almost like a beginner course. When you're in college or taking a course, it's 101 ways, 101 is that beginner.
Okay.
And so I said, you know what? Let me do the 101. because it's 1,000 of different ways you could possibly age gracefully. But I
So-
had to condense it.
So is there, let's just, spoiler alert, let me just ask you now, is there a possibility that we're going to see a part 2 to
Yes.
101?
Yes.
Okay. In fact, is there a possibility that you will explore other sort of facets of health through a series like this?
Definitely.
There is? Okay.
Oh, definitely.
Just wanted to sneak in and see if I could see if there was a hint of things to come there. Why do you encourage your readers to journal?
I encourage journaling because it's a way to get your thoughts down on paper. It actually helps you with your writing and communication. And another thing about journaling is you can write down your goals, so you kind of track where you're going. And it's a stress reliever. You know, how can I get these thoughts out of my head? They might be negative. I can't get them anywhere else. Let me write them down.
That's something that I think is very eye-opening. We're in a society and maybe a culture where not enough people are taking, I would say, advantage of of therapy.
Right.
Okay, getting out there and feeling comfortable speaking with a therapist and sort of working through these thoughts. And so it sounds like what you're saying is that by journaling, you can, in some ways, get some of the benefits of therapy right in your own home, right, in your own solo time. Is that fair to say, or am I?
That is definitely fair to say.
Okay.
Definitely fair to say.
Okay. And so I imagine that since you launched the book, and also I know that within the book you may have interviewed many people, or you may have observed many people to discover these nuggets to successfully aging gracefully. I'm curious about what testimonies you may have heard. Have you received any anecdotes or testimonies from readers about their reaction to the book, or maybe how it's helped them?
Well, some people have said it was like right on time. The book spoke to them, and it opened them at a time, I guess, for they were maybe going through some stress, and it actually helped them think about it and to relieve it. Some people were just like, it was a great read. You know, they're like, I couldn't put it down. It is like some books you like, oh, let me read a little bit, but they can actually finish the book and enjoy it and want to read it more than one time. They can read it.
Yeah. You know, your book is, because I know when I was sitting down with it, just before we filmed today, actually, I was really impressed with just how much enlightenment I felt by the time I finished each page. And I want to ask you about the design of the book. We don't have to spend too much time on the design, but the book does have a very interesting design to it. It's not just words on a page. I mean, it seems like you've sort of carefully visually designed each page. I mean, I noticed bamboo art on the journaling pages. I noticed like animals on some of the pages and different sort of symbols. Tell me about that process. What did you want the reader to feel when they were holding the book and reading it during their sort of meditation time?
I wanted them to feel like I picked 7 different symbols of aging, and so they all meant different things. And so when they turn the page, like, oh, let me think, an elephant, mental faculties, pineapple, hospitality and friendship. Bamboo symbolizes flexibility, balance. So all those things play as you're in your life. And so those were some interesting things I wanted to put in there for people to have something to see besides just blank pages also.
Yeah, and I can tell you that I absolutely appreciated that.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of a visual treat for me. And actually I'm the kind of person that I try to organize my thoughts. I try to organize just things I'm experiencing and ingesting in terms of information. And the way that you sort of symbolize or use those symbols on each page to sort of help me understand, okay, this particular nugget, this is about mental faculties, or this particular nugget on this page is going to be about hospitality. The way that you sort of organize that really helped me to sort of grow in that area and know, okay, on this page, I'm focused on this part now, okay? And I really appreciate that. I want to know, as a new author and as someone who has written a book that has really made an impact on the lives of so many people, what tips or advice would you give to someone out there who might be watching or listening to today's episode? Okay, so what tips would you give them? Okay, in terms of
interesting tip.
maybe being an author, but also aging gracefully.
Tips on being an author. I think everyone has a book in them, so I think everyone should be able to write their story. So I think everybody has a story. So that is a tip. Just do it. You know, it takes time, but just do it. The tips I want people to get from my book, it mainly is being consistent, be selfish, learn how to say no and yes to yourself. And another nugget I would give is take care of your body. I like a quote by Jim Rohn. He says, take care of your body, it's the only place you have to live. So there's a very deep quote. So really, you really got to take care of your body if you want to age gracefully and have like mental faculties and being physically able to do what you want to do.
Yeah, I appreciate that quote too, actually. I saw that quote in the book.
Yeah, I like that quote.
And I thought, my God, that is a good quote.
I know.
It is the only place you have to live. How about that?
Yeah.
So I'm curious about, you know, I'm curious about the where you are going to take this moving forward. Okay, so what I'm trying to articulate here is what lies ahead. I mean, you've encapsulated all of this wisdom into a book. People love it. Okay, people are tuning in today. They're watching. They're inspired. What would be the next thing that you want people to take away? Okay, aside from taking care of your body, aside from being selfish, you know, learning to say yes to yourself, what would be the next thing that you want people to take away once they've grabbed onto those things? What's the next thing that you want them to do?
Live their life they want to live.
Go live their life
That they want to live. Not what someone told you to do, but to live the life you want to live.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on that, especially this idea of being sort of respectfully selfish for yourself? I mean, why? What made you realize that? Like,
Actually, one of my clients, when I was interviewing her, and she just said, be selfish. I'm like, selfish? She said, yes. She said, it's okay to be selfish, and take care of yourself. And just say no. Say yes to yourself for self-care, take care of yourself. And she's like, another one of the things she said, travel. Just don't wait, just travel as much as you can. See the world.
And why is that? What is part of the value? What is the value that comes from traveling? Tell me.
Traveling opens your mind to different people, different cultures. You won't be in like one little mindset, because I came from a small town with 2 roads. So when I came up to Maryland, 6 lanes, that's like, ooh, that's a shock for someone for 2-lane road. So it just opens your mind up and broadens things for you.
I remember I was speaking on a previous episode about the delta between when I finished high school and then went to college, that time there in the middle. And I was mentioning to our viewers that I wish that in that time that I had taken more time to travel, or to kind of learn more about the world before sort of locking myself into a set sort of education.
Right.
Okay, because I didn't really have a good sense of perspective at that time to really know what do I want to invest my educational years into.
Right.
And it sounds like what you're saying is that mindset is one that we should constantly sort of return to over the course of our life. Stay traveling, stay bringing in and learning other cultures.
Yeah.
Because expanding your awareness, and I love this, helps you to age slower.
Yeah.
And to age gracefully. I absolutely love it. In fact, I want to hear where did you even develop that term, aging gracefully? I just think it's a great one.
Well, it just came up. How do you age? You know, everybody want to stay young. So I was like, well, how do you age gracefully? That's how that came about.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so, you know, I wanna close this episode by giving you the last word. Okay, what is something you would like our readers and our listeners and viewers to do today? Okay, today, related to their health.
Breathe.
You want them to breathe.
Breathe.
Okay, I like that. I like that. So if you're listening and watching and with us today, you heard it straight from Miss Tonya Walton. It's time to breathe. And guess what? If you want to learn more about Tonya Walton, you can see the information there at the bottom of the screen. And I want to say that, you know, it's been a wonderful time today as we learn about 101 ways to successfully age gracefully. You've been watching Small Business 21st Century and today's segment of Build Your Difference. I want to thank you for spending your time with us, and I hope that you learned something. Have a tremendous week.